Good morning, everybody. Here we're reading through Jeremiah 11 to 13 and Psalm 126. And here we say farewell to Nehemiah. Yeah, we're almost finished the Old Testament, you realize. In a couple of days, we'll be reading about the life of Jesus. So here we're finishing it up. And uh, man, can you imagine Jerusalem? Jerusalem at one time, tens of thousands of people lived there. Tens of thousands. It was vibrant and noisy and bustling, and sounds of kids and families and animals and everything else, and all the sound of the worship and all the noise, just noisy, vibrant, full of life. Some people like the quiet, and that's okay. Um, but noise is also the sound of life, that there is life. And and now now this city is in ruins. They've built the temple, nothing compared to what it used to be. They've built the wall, hung the gates, but the houses haven't been rebuilt except for the ones that they were using. There'd be rubble everywhere, famous buildings gone, just nothing but a pile, and nobody wants to live there. Nobody wants to live there. They're all living in outlying villages and towns outside of Jerusalem because it's a mess. And they know that there has to be life there because the temple has to be maintained. There has to be guards at the gate. The marketplace has to be built up and maintained. So they hold a lottery. It's pretty bad when you have to hold a lottery, and the lottery winners lose. Really, that's what it is. They lose. They chose from lottery who would have to live in that city, who would be the ones. And they thought it was only, I'm sure they would have got some volunteers, but they didn't want anybody feeling guilty about not wanting to live there. So they hold this lottery, and a couple of thousand people are chosen. And a lot of the temple staff and such are still living in the outside areas, and they would come in for their period of time. If you look at Zechariah, John the Baptist's father, he lived outside of Jerusalem, and he would journey. He'd live there for a month while he was on duty, and then come back home. So yeah, so this is what it was like. But could you imagine in all of that destruction and all of that rubble, and these people are going to have to try to clean this place up and work on running things and bringing life back into this once vibrant city. Could you imagine what it would have been like hearing the temple singers, hearing the worshipers? Because it would have echoed. It would have echoed down those empty, destroyed streets. It would have echoed off of all the ruined buildings. It would have echoed everywhere. Could you imagine the life that would bring into people as they're going about their business, as they go about doing what they need to do? That ongoing 24-hour worship, just constantly the song going up, the worship of Yahweh going, what that would do to lift you up. Music is a very important part of our worship. And there was a little bit of it, but it didn't really come into its own until David. And it was David that established this, and now it's being reestablished according to David. That's what's being reestablished right now, a David type of offering and worship that's taking place in the temple. And those who lead worship, it's not just about the effect it has on the people that they're singing in front of. It's also about themselves. It's about us when we're at home and we're singing worship. That transforms us. It brings in a glad heart. It gets us focused. It helps us focus on what's important. It helps us to focus on what is true, what is right, what is good, what is holy. It helps transport us from the dreariness quite often of our days in this world to the place where we dwell, because we're told we're seated with Jesus and with Father right now. We're sitting with Jesus at the right hand of the Father. That's where we are. It's something that's hard for the brain to understand, but that's where we are, and we're here. There we're at a time. Here we're in time, and and we're reminded that we belong to something that's more beautiful than this. We belong to something that is more permanent than this. We belong to something that makes sense. We belong to something of greater value. And it's important for us in our day, as we go through the stuff that we do, that we get grounded in this way, that we get grounded in who we are. We get grounded in the fact that we're here for a purpose, that we get grounded, and there's work to do. And these are the moments that we just take a deep breath with the breath of God. Get renewed, focused, and we need it. Because I got to tell you that you are just as susceptible to the attacks of the enemy as anybody else. It's just that we know how to fight. We have armor. We're not unprotected, but we have to be aware. And he's coming after this. He is coming after that. And especially in these days, in everything that we're going through, you need to be careful, because depression is on the rise. That sense of hopelessness, that sense of uselessness is on the rise. There's anxiety on the rise. And you are open to that if you're not aware of the enemy's schemes. You're open to that. You need to get grounded. You need to be focused. You need to be renewed. You need to go through a time of renewal all the time. You need this renewal. You need it for your survival, because you've been meant to operate according to the things of the kingdom and not the things of this earth. And that's what we need. We need that time to be reminded. So, be encouraged by that, because that's available to you today, right now. Be blessed. Love you guys.